E ngā kāwai nui, e ngā kāwai roa o nunui mā, o roroa mā, nau mai, hoki mai, tomo ki anō te whare o Te Ao Moana. Very grateful to Whakaata Māori and Te Māngai Pāho to be back, especially in election year. We're still holding out hope the Prime Minister might front. It's been 4 years. There's so much to talk about. There's a president saying the war he started will end when, quote, I feel it in my bones, all as the killing continues in Gaza, settler violence in the West Bank amps up and Lebanon is exploding. Here at home, communities are feeling the effects from floods, slips and fear as New Zealand focuses on responding to climate change, not reducing it. Meanwhile, it seems everything's on the rise. Homelessness, cost of living, unemployment and prison numbers. There were over 11,000 reported in January, all part of the government's push for law and order. But then what happens to those who are out of sight and out of mind? Well, one couple have found a simple yet powerful way to connect with inmates, and it's taken them from Christchurch to Cardiff. Hikurangi Kamiora Jackson with this story.
Derogatory, abusive behaviour was just a constant part of my childhood.
It's the one who has abused me, the one who has raped me is walking around free. I'm the one that's suffering.
When we watched Once We Were Warriors growing up, we thought that was a comedy. We would compare Betheka's black eyes to Mum's black eyes. Our Mum's black eyes are way bigger than Beth's. Like, I know, like, Dad's way crazier than Jake the Muss.
Behind the pride, behind the gang pictures, behind the violence, is just somebody who wants to be seen and someone who longs to heal.
Because you delve into like quite heavy stuff, traumatic stuff. You open up a safe space for other people to kind of bring out their trauma. How do you keep yourself safe on the whole journey?
It's heavy, you know, when you're sitting with people in their mamai, their trauma, their pain, and listening to these stories, and you know, you recognise that family violence does not discriminate.
He tangata taikaha, Matt Brown, kua whea ko hoki I ngā āhuatanga katoa. Inai ānei ko tāna he ngana kia huri I te oranga o te tangata kia pai ake.
I found that how I'm impactful is by modelling what healing looks like, modelling what change, what doing the work looks like. And I think that's what guys resonate with.
I tīmata te kaupapa me I tana toa kuti makawe, ka noho te kaitapahi hei kai whakaora hinengaro. I aia e tuku ana I tōna wā ki te hapuri, ka tīmatanga tāne ki te whakapuaki I o rātou kare āroto, me te taimaha o rātou mamai.
He tells a story a lot, and it's not an easy story to tell. He's talking about family violence and sexual abuse, which is, you know, still a very taboo subject in many communities around the world.
Ko Sarah te hoa wahine a Matt, a he tino wahanga ia no te kaupapa ā-motu e kia nei, ko She's Not Your Rehab. A kua mātoro atu ki te ao whānui. Kei te hora hoki kia The Rock, me tana tautoko atu.
For it to be real and genuine and to hit hearts, you have to go there yourself and you have to offer your own vulnerability. And I think for him that's probably the most tiring thing. It's like, yeah, I know my story, I've done a TED talk, rah, whatever. But to actually go in that place every time, and we have to, because that is the place that connects with real people.
I tēnei rā kei te tūhono a Matt I o tautahi. He wānanga tēnei mō te aukati te kohuki, I te riri a whare me te tai tōkai.
And I suppose the reason why we are having this wānanga around the motu is because we really believe it takes a village. It truly takes a village to raise our babies. My question is, where is our village? Is our village full of hurt people who continue to hurt people, or will we have the courage to heal so our village can be healed people who heal people?
Ko te aronga o ngā mahi a Matt, he whakau I te tangata kia āraia te riri a whare me tai tōkai, hei mātūtū I ngā mamai.
What happened to my dad? It was so chaotic and so hard. And my aunties told me, you know, that can sound awesome. To discipline your father, your grandfather, used to strip him naked and hang him outside of the tree and leave him there for days.
He oi me pēhea e ora ai, ko te rerekētanga o tā Matt's mahi, ko te āhua o tana horepū ki te take, pēnei me te tānetanga kino.
I built this! Me! brick by brick. I don't lose. I win.
Kei ngā wāhi katoa o te ao tui hono, kei mua tonu I tō aroaro.
I'm doing it for money. I don't care about
the morality of it.
Te manosphere.
Do you consider yourself a misogynist?
I love women and I actually understand them.
You think you know better than they do?
They want a guy that can lead them and dominate them.
When our children are being raised by social media and we're finding our superheroes in men across the globe who objectify women, who disrespect women, ideologies that were never ours, especially us as a Polynesian community where, you know, we honoured women, we put women on a pedestal where our ways were never violence towards women. Of course, there's always been violence in society as long as humans have been around, but violence towards women was never our culture, and I think it's not getting better.
Hei tā me mahi ngātahi te hāpori, ā ki o tautahi, kua taitahi ia me tētahi tira.
So trauma, can it go away or do you just manage it forever?
When we're triggered, we tend to take out those emotions and those feelings onto the people we love the most. So does the trauma go away? The trigger never goes away, but our ability to navigate through it goes away. So it'll always be there, but our ability to navigate it goes away a lot quicker if we're doing the inner work on ourselves.
Me mātua mai a te tangata e tūhuru ai I ngā mahi ki roto, ka tahi, ka werohia.
When you're talking about masculinity sociologically, we're talking about the social, cultural, historical norms that we place upon boys and men on how they're meant to act and show up in the world, right? Don't cry, be homophobic, brag about how many girls you slept with, use violence, push your emotions down, be stoic, make lots of money, work really hard, you know, shrug it off. This is an unhealthy idea of masculinity that is culturally taught and enforced to us, you know, because if you step outside of that man box, what happens? You get a hard time from the boys, people make fun of you, told to harden up.
My name is Matt Brown, and I am a barber, a father, an anti-violence campaigner.
Kua mutua me te tapahi makawe, I nāia nei ko te kaupapa te aronga matua. Kua whakaputaina e rawa ko tana hoa wahine tētahi puka puka, a I te taurua manorua te kaumatahi, I tō haina ki ngā herehere katoa puta noa I Aotearoa.
When I think about community healing, I really do think that we're going to have to rethink what it means to allow someone to redeem themselves in our society.
I rite tonu tā te pāpa o me, kuhu me te puta I te whare here here. Kei te pirangi a Sarah ki te wero I te āhua o te whakahoki, I ngā here here ki roto I te hāpori.
The way that the punitive system is set up is that someone is just sent off and punished. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be rehabilitated. But once they've served their time and done whatever, they're going to come back out into community, and how are they going to be received by us? Are we essentially saying that there's no hope for you, you're always going to be this, you're always going to have, you know, that mark against your name? Or are we as a community going to say, yep, you made a mistake here, are you willing, do you have the desire to change and better yourself and go down this path of healing? And if they do, then it is up to us as a community, as a society, to walk along that path with them. I don't believe we're at that place, actually.
A muri I te wā whakatā, ka kawe a Matt tana karere ki ngā here here I Peretānia. Kei Cardiff, kei te pokapū o wera, me te kāinga o te whare here here o Cardiff. I te rānei kua tonua me ki te kōrero ki ngā here here me ngā kaimahi.
If I could describe my childhood in one word, I would use the word unsafe. I stood up in front of my peers in high school at 15 and talked about watching and witnessing my old man beat the shit out of my mum constantly right throughout my childhood. And so domestic violence has been something that I've lived through.
He take whānui te tūkino me te kohuki e whai panga ana ki te ao whānui.
You see, I've never ever forgotten the feeling of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to the screams and the yells of my dear mum, my beloved mum being dragged down the hallway by her hair at the hands of my father. To then look at my little brother across the room and say, oh, go back to sleep, they're at it again. I've never forgotten the feeling of waking up in the middle of the night at the age of 3 to another man's private parts on my body. To then witness this man up and leave my body and do the same shit to my little brother.
How do you think his message landed today?
The guys were just silent. You could kind of see at the beginning they didn't really know why they were in the room or kind of what they were, you know, there for. And then as it went on, you could just, they were all completely engaged and enthralled. And I think for a lot of those men now, a seed will have been planted and they'll go away and really think about some of those things. And hopefully that'll be like the seed that might start the change.
Kei te whakamahi a Anne-Marie Lawrence I te pukapuka me rawa ko Sarah, hei Reuben mi mahi I te whare here here o Cardiff, me ngā kura puta noa I te Peretania.
No matter where we go, after every talk we do in schools, colleges, Matt gets inundated with messages from boys about how his talk resonated, about how his experience is their experience, his story is their story, and most of these boys aren't telling anyone about it.
Mo te kāwana o Cardiff Prison, ara a Andrew Phillips, nā ngā kōreroa me I whakatupu te tūmanako.
Matt said it so powerfully in the talk. You know, it's about, do you stand up and stop that cycle of trauma now? Yeah. Or do you just continue it and, you know, continue the next generation of trauma and violence? And so, yeah, I'm really keen to evolve what's happened today going forward.
Kua taite wā hei tuku I ngā pātai, ka ara ake tētahi pātai I ngā wā katoa.
Do you still have a relationship with Dad? Do I still have a relationship with my dad? Yes, bro. That's actually the number one question people always ask me. Where's my dad in all of this?
How does he deal with you talking about him being so open?
My dad has mental health issues, so he's really disassociated from the upbringing that he gave us, which was violence. And I think him doing that, he's still around. You know, it's unfortunate that I lost my mum 5 years ago to cancer, but yet my dad is still around, you know, still an alcoholic, still drinking. But I refuse to look at my dad as that man who's an alcoholic, who's addicted, who was a monster. Because when you do the work yourself and understand healing, you have to go back to, you know, some of those painful memories that caused the harm. And so for me, you know, in modeling what healthy masculinity can look like, I have to go be compassionate to little Matt. You know, Matt, for whatever reason you were beaten up or left home alone, that was never your fault. Those things were never yours to carry. I then have to apply that same compassion to my dear father. For whatever reason, he couldn't regulate his emotions, became an alcoholic, perpetrated violence. I need to understand why. And when I learned my dad's story of intergenerational trauma, he too was abused, he too was, you know, ridiculed and humiliated. I choose to look at my father as the young boy who was abused. Why? Because I don't want to pass that same mama on to my dear children.
Kua tāwhiti tā Matt haere, kua whanake nui I te ao mahi me tōna au whaiaro. Kaori I mātaua ara, tana tuku I tēnei momo kōrero. E hara mā tētahi atu, he oe mautonu, kua taunga haere tēnei kōrero.
Shame, pain, trauma does not discriminate. Childhood trauma does not discriminate. Whether you're black, white, rich or poor, all of us have our shit. It does not discriminate. Will you have the courage to heal? Will you have the courage to do better? That's my dream for all of us men in our society.
How do you like take it all in? Like, you know, you started off like cutting hair and it kind of grew to TED Talks, and then now you're traveling the world, and do you like wake up and go, man, like, you know, your books are in Wales, like prisoners are reading them, it's helping people. How do you take that all in?
It's emotional, bro. Emotional when I think about the life my wife and I have created. It wasn't overnight. There's been many times where we've cried and sobbed and wailed doing this work, and it's really started in our home. It started within us, it started with each other. And so when I wake up, some days I have to pinch myself that this is the life that we've created. But I'm open about it and I love sharing about it because our children need to see themselves. Our children need to see that it's possible to break cycles. It's possible to be everything that you never received. And so I'm just super, super blessed.
Thank you, Matt and Sarah, for being on the show. And the hope is that She's Not Your Rehab books will be distributed throughout prisons in Wales. After the break, a tribute to a remarkable woman.
Australia lost one of the brightest stars from the Australian constellation. Rhoda Roberts AO found a way to pack multiple lifetimes into just one. She was often the first, including as the first Indigenous host on mainstream Australian TV, but she made sure that she wouldn't be the last. Rhoda captivated and entertained. She informed and inspired. Rhoda Roberts now walks in another place.
A disruptor, visionary, creative force, game changer. She made a difference.
Good evening, I'm Rhoda Roberts.
Rhoda was credited with starting the tikanga of acknowledging traditional land custodians at public events, coining the term welcome to country.
It makes people feel special. It's good manners.
Triggering for some, though embraced by many Australians. I was just thinking about that time, Rhoda, when we were doing a project, and afterwards all the artists went to a bar around here, and the bar staff refused to serve the Aboriginal artists drinks. What's changed, do you think?
First of all, I go, welcome to Australia, because there's such intrinsic, systemic racism at every level in this country. When you see incredible artists who are renowned around the world for their art, and they simply can't walk into a bar in Circular Quay because of the colour of their skin, really says something about the level of regard for our people. And I think the only time we're going to see great change in this country is when Australians see the level and value of us as a people, as the oldest living race on the planet, but also they see the value of our culture and our language, because it tells you about the landscape. It gives you information how to live in this incredible country.
Rhoda helped stamp Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders into the Australian cultural landscape and psyche. As the creative director for the opening of the 2000 Olympics, Sydney New Year's Eve, 2003 Rugby World Cup, and an artistic director for multiple festivals, including dance rights and songlines at Vivid 16. As the first head of First Nations programming at the Sydney Opera House, she was on a mission.
It enables people to have accessibility. Often this is seen as the Great White House. Well, we've got some blacks inside now, and we're doing okay. Also, it's looking at the arts and where we see the disparity. Our stories do need to be told, but often there's this assumption that the story has to be really worthy for it to be authentic. And we know that's not the case, because we have fun dances, we have comedy, we have the greatest humour. So it's ensuring too that people see the diversity of works. Often Aboriginal stories are driven is the negative, the statistics, the terrible statistics. You know, if you were a young Aboriginal person, why would you wake up tomorrow when you know you're more likely to be incarcerated, you're going to be living in poverty, you actually don't have a voice in this country, and your visibility is very limited.
Rhoda spoke about the overt racism she faced growing up, the unsolved murder of her twin sister, and brutal indifference of officials to it.
I lost my sister, who was a mother, and she graciously gave me her child to raise.
The strength of her Pākehā mama and Bunjalung Papa. She understood the power of the arts to connect, to elevate, to move people, make us think.
Celebrating something that's quite unique, it's incredibly powerful.
The former nurse, actor, documentary maker and current affairs presenter,
there's nothing better than a story with a positive ending.
Worked across radio and television.
You're listening to Australia's newest national Indigenous music show. That was pretty exciting to be able to turn on the box and see our own people represented through the lens of what we wanted people to see us.
Years ago, Rhoda had my band play at her Festival of Dreaming. We'd been on a roll ever since. And between the fun times, there was lots of plotting.
As we look forward, we ask not only how far have we come, but how much further we must go.
Rhoda became a champion for so many Indigenous artists. So what is the power of international collaborations, particularly when you go overseas, and I've noticed you get quite emotional about being a black woman in Australia?
Yeah, well, one, I'm an old sook. And two, it's just such an extraordinary thing to be a First Nations person in Australia. But when you travel overseas, and particularly when you're young and you get to work with people like yourself, I go, wow. And we all get together and then we discover same, but different. The colonised story is similar. But I just love the fact that women and men, incredible talents, get together. And I think the thing that possibly makes it different as First Nations, no matter what we do, whether it's music, paint, dance, story, whatever we do, we still have those footprints of our ancestors. So there is this connection and this humour that we carry, and we just get it.
Rhoda Roberts, Bundjalung woman from saltwater people of northern New South Wales, artivist. On behalf of all the artists, performers and people Rhoda touched here in Aotearoa, we send all our aroha to her whānau, her people and everyone in her circle. Moi mai rā e te marae kura. Next week we meet another young man who's making a difference in his own way, both on and off the field. Rising All Black, Reuben Love. Here's a quick preview. Pō Marie.
It's picked up by Love, and off he goes.
Like I was never the most talented.
Great run down the middle from Reuben Love.
Never had access to the best coaching.
Loves the pass back in field. Oh, what a try!
All the best talent in the country is right here in Palmy, and I'll die on that hill.
Ko tērā kei konei ia. E rua te kaumātoru o nā tau, ka whai wāhi ia hei ōpango. Ko Reuben Love, te toki, no te papaioia.
Yeah, tell us about Palmy and where you're from in this beautiful place.
Yeah, I guess earliest memories from Palmy. I was 12 years old when I moved here, and the house that we're in at the moment was the house that my dad grew up in with his siblings as well, so it was pretty special actually to come here.
To Cruden.
Nā te hauā whiowhio e I whakaawe no tāna tupuranga I pōneke. Mō muri atu ka hoki ki manu atu, e te kaumārua tōna pakeke.
10 out from the goal line, and here's Te Ao Māori on the charge.
Me and my two best mates, my younger brother, went to the Hurricanes game, and that was the fondest memory that I've got from my childhood to do with rugby. And I think that's where my love for rugby started. I had all the posters on the wall. I got my flag signed and I hung that up for my whole childhood, you know, like stuff like that. I was always around rugby growing up with my parents and always supported the Hurricanes because I grew up in the region.
Ko nā pūkinga rau me tōna tere taika ana āhuatanga motuhake. Engari kaori pe e ohorere ana. I te mea ai ko Mātene Love tōna pāpā. E pau no te tima ōpango Māori Rongonui.
A lot of family history here, like my father, my uncle, they all came through school here.
He wāhanga nui te whānau no te takinga o te rāwhiti o Manawatu.
Palmy was where I first got behind the wheel, you know, my first fight, my first kiss, all that kind of stuff. You know, this is home for me and where I learned my life lessons, so I feel like this is where my roots run back deep.
Ko te reo, te take.